Hey, happy Monday. DayOneDollarZero, episode 6.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, everyone?
Eli Schmidt here.
Let me get my Eli Schmidt. Hey, I'm glad you changed your Instagram. Dude, for the longest time, as in a day, I didn't understand what that meant.
Eli Schmidt here?
Yeah, when I was like looking at it. It looked like Schmidt-ear. Even Kate asked.
Dude,
she wasn't sure.
I was contemplating putting the underscore in there, and it just didn't seem to make sense.
As you should.
Yeah, I figured I'd keep it simple.
Let me.
What you looking at there, man?
I'm looking at my laptop. Give me a second.
Let's do this. It's Monday.
It is Monday.
We got some news today.
Where's I don't know why this is messing up on me. Give me a second. We should put it on Eli. Oops. Did you share something?
Yeah, we're good, man.
All right, give me a second. For some reason, it wasn't letting me do it. I'm looking at my laptop. Give me a second.
It's Monday. There we go.
For some reason, it's not letting me go to my page, bro. At all.
We're good.
We're good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday,
yeah,
guys.
this is a Monday.
Right?
But before we get into Monday, it's making me so mad that it's not working.
You're good. You're good. This is one of the fun things about doing
no,
live
it's not
shows
good.
here.
Yeah, I guess that is some of the fun. We should just cut it off like fuck Monday.
Yeah. No,
But before we get to Monday, listen, Fat, I told you I was going to save this for you because I haven't gotten the full story. But I want to read a text message I got from Eli this weekend.
Oh, no. No idea what this is going to
Oh,
say.
you do.
No idea what this is going to say.
Oh, you do. Let's see here. Eli, and it's I can't take full credit. He sent this to our friend Brett as well.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you want to talk about this?
No, I don't.
You don't. But it's Monday, and we're talking about being broke today, so that's fun.
Long story short.
No, fuck that. Fuck that.
Long story short.
No, hold on a minute. Can I preface the scene? Listen, it's last night. Was it last night?
Yesterday.
It was
afternoon.
Last night. It was evening. We are. What was the original text message about?
I saw a funny picture of Brett, who's a friend of ours. I sent it to Will and Brett on the same thread.
Yeah. Then he calls me some fat guy in Europe watching Formula One cars. I'm like, fuck you, Brett. That's not true. Didn't even look like me. I'm way more muscular than that guy.
Both had a shaved
disrespect.
head and tattoos. That was it.
I didn't have a shaved head,
Yeah.
and that guy was fat, and he had no legs, dude. I got legs. Don't be
That's true.
stupid.
That's true.
Don't be silly. Not stupid. I'm sorry. Anyway,
we
were talking about this, and a fucking fat Eli comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, sorry for the delay. Was watching a naked dude take a shit at Chipotle."
Wrong.
Oh yeah, you did.
Not watching. I walked in on. I was at Chipotle. Went to the restroom. Door wasn't locked. There's a guy there with no shirt on, taking a shit, and we made eye contact. I apologized. I shut the door, and that was it.
You opened the bathroom stall.
No, the door is a one-person thing. Like, I just walked in, the door wasn't locked.
It's one big bathroom.
Yeah, like the door wasn't locked. It was literally just this guy on the toilet with no shirt.
So when I say watch, let's get into the rest of it. Because he's like, no, I didn't watch. Like, well, but there's more information you gave over the course of these text messages, which makes me feel like, dude, you watched. You had to watch to know what you knew.
You looked.
Okay.
Will ask a question.
Yeah, man, I asked a question. I was like, I asked how big his balls were.
Yes, and I said I couldn't see.
I was like, hey, don't be gay. How big were his balls?
Right.
Yeah.
And I said I couldn't see. They were in the toilet.
Right. Like, damn, that's low. Right. So then I called it low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
And in sales, there's a term for low hanging fruit, right? It's like, so then Brett asked if he had a loan.
And that started like this whole 30. I'm sitting there trying to feed my son like rice and beans, and I'm getting 30 text messages from these guys.
Don't be gay. What's his balls look like?
God,
Does he have a home loan?
I should have known.
Is he buying or selling?
Yeah.
What was his credit score? Things like that.
Shout out to Brett. What's up, man?
Brett, what's up, dude? I appreciate you tag teaming on that. Even though you were talking shit at first about some weirdo watching Formula One. That ain't me.
So, first thing on the list today.
Hold on a minute. That's not how you lead it in. What you should be saying is, so what's worse than watching a naked guy take a shit at Chipotle? Being broke, which is what we're talking about today. See, that's how you prep.
Prior to that,
Eli,
though.
we're trying to like throw those layups in there. See how like it leads in. Like,
yeah. Segue.
So what?
I know.
Right? Knock,
Sorry.
knock. Right?
You teed it up for me. I missed it.
What the one fat chick say the other fat chick, right?
So prior to getting to our topic today,
Jerk.
finally got notification from iTunes that our podcast is approved.
Yes.
To be on the iTunes podcast platform. So far, we've been on Spotify and YouTube and Facebook, but we're official iTunes
Loving
approved.
it. If you guys have time to listen, if you've been taking time to take a listen, we've had some really good questions come through. We've had some great personal comments come through. If you guys would not mind going into that
iTunes
iPod, technical savvy I am.
Anything
into iTunes and leave a rating once you click on DayOneDollarZero. Excuse me, the DayOneDollarZero
podcast.
The DayOneDollarZero podcast. Click on that, give a review, throw some comments. Much appreciated. And if there's things you think we could get better at, hey, great. Naked guys taking a shit in Chipotle. It's not the best topic.
Maybe leave that one out.
No, man, I think it's amazing, and I think it's honest. Look, It's fucking Monday. We were super productive today, but it was a hairy one. You two were super emotional today, right?
For a change,
yeah. You guys were like, I was feeling the stress, so it's like, what better way than to open up a podcast with talking about that naked dude shitting in Chipotle? And
that's right.
Hey, what's worse than that?
Yep.
Being broke.
That is.
Ooh,
man.
ouch.
Yeah. Or how about both being broke and walking in on dudes in the bathroom doing that?
Like you just bought your burrito that overdrafted.
Yep.
And then you walk in watching the guy shit one of those things out.
Yeah.
And he's naked.
It's a circle of life right there. Man.
I'm still like, I don't want to be weird about it, but I'm like, how bad I'm like, we've all had upset stomachs, right? Fat. we've all had upset stomachs. But I'm wondering how bad your stomach gets when you're like just walking in there taking clothes off.
Dude,
like it's going down.
So funny thing about me, man, when I was super young, I don't remember, like maybe 3 or so. Like
I didn't know you, right? Because I don't know what you're about to say.
No, like when you just start like using the restroom by yourself, And there was this time that I sat on the toilet, but I was wearing like a bigger shirt than usual. And I didn't know, but the back of it was in the toilet. And dude, I was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or something. And when I got up, the back of my shirt was all soaked and had been in poop water the entire time.
Oh my God.
The entire time. So, dude,
Holy
that
shit.
that made some like weird trigger in me, dude. So for a long time, I couldn't poop with a shirt on. I had to take my shirt off to poop. I'm not even kidding you. Dude, so that stopped maybe when I was like, I don't know, like 13, 14 or something, like plenty old.
Who remembers Bad Boys? Bad Boys 2. If you're out there, raise your hand in your car if you remember. Remember when they're sitting in that TV shop and Martin Lawrence like says something about how he feels about getting shot in his butt? And he like tells Will how he feels, and Will's like, hey, we're gonna take how you feel about your butt and my mom's titties. We're gonna put that in a box. We're never gonna open that box. Right? Like, hey, we're gonna put that shitty T-shirt yours.
Is
how
that
you feel
one
about
of those
it?
right there?
We're gonna put that in a box, even though now we're live. No, man, that's awesome. I totally get it. I mean, I completely can't relate to you.
Yeah. So when I saw him, I was like, I got you, man.
You related to him.
Yeah, I related to him.
Makes you great. Yeah. That relationship.
Can you reenact that out?
Right, I know. I know.
You're right. So what can be worse? Okay, so broke isn't worse. Shitting on your own shirt's worse.
Yeah.
At least it didn't catch your shit.
If you guys only knew the bravery.
Right? Like, what if it was like a big? What if it was a big turd and it caught this shit like a basket, like a fishnet,
just collecting
in the back of your shirt, and just right?
Yeah.
Not cool.
I'm cringing.
It's Monday. We've had a fun Monday. Haven't we?
It has been fun. It's been interesting.
And again, credit you for a great idea, man. I like your topic today. And true to form, there's been some conversation this week or last week where people might assume, right? Like, Eli, you're a big deal, man. You got a real estate team. You got a podcast. You got a banging blonde at home. Like,
balling,
that guy's
right?
You're Jewish.
Yeah.
Guy's balling out.
However,
comma, maybe not. Let's talk about it. But I think it's, not to get into it. I think it is, I think it's a great topic. I actually go for broke. That's not like a competition. Like, oh, go for it all. Like, no, literal. Like I went as minimal as possible. So we'll kind of get to that later. But I think it's definitely an honest conversation that entrepreneurs, especially early entrepreneurs in their first couple of years, should have with themselves. And there's probably a lot of them out there that are broke.
You know what? I think this is the equivalent conversation of having in the fitness world before Instagram and when, fitness influencers were reliant on supplement companies for their income. Prior to that age, that's where no one talked about steroids. It was all about how this protein is making me jacked, da-da-da. Now that influencers are more or less self-employed and they can create their own income, they're not limited by brand restrictions. Now a lot of them are starting to come out about the actual steroids that they're on. And they're talking about their stacks a little bit. And it's a little bit in an industry where there was none of it is a lot. And this is, I think, the equivalent conversation that entrepreneurs need to be having. With all the people out there showing all the flashy shit and how much money they made in such a short period of time, the reality is a lot of those people are out there are struggling bad every month because they're in the growth phase, but they're not showing that. And because they're not showing that, that deters a lot of what could potentially be good entrepreneurs or business owners from getting into it, because then they hit that wall and they're like, shit, I'm doing something wrong, obviously, because all these other people are making a ton of money.
Are they pretending, Eli?
They're pretending, man.
I think you're starting to loop some things around very well. And I think here's the deal. I think there's a lot of pattern as far as that too. And just trying to be romantic how you make your money, or pretending or whatever it may be, you're just doing yourself an injustice, man. Like and you might think that you're going to make more on the front end, but at some point, people figure that out, and you're just taking away from your audience, you're taking away from yourself, just the ability to document and remember and just gain the experience and what you've done. But I agree. And, my other thing is if you're spending your money on fancy things, and it's not like I don't have a couple things that I like. Apparently I like fucking Beats by Dre because I fucking lose them. I just love buying those goddamn things.
Can you tell that story real quick?
What story? There's no story.
There's a story.
It's not a story.
Beats are what, $300 or something?
No, man, they're
not
$350,
cheap.
dude.
Yeah.
See the size of this fucking
you
head?
get the special edition.
I gotta get the special big ass head edition.
We went through 2 of them in
Stop
a
it.
couple months.
Yeah, I did. So I punished myself.
Yeah.
I bought $50 skull candies. Oh, they're terrible.
Yeah,
they're terrible. Yeah. But here's the deal: until I can figure out how to not get them stolen or not forget them wherever I might. I think we had a surprise birthday party for Kate's mom this weekend, and garage was open. We were doing a ton of stuff. I ran up to take a shower. We live in a really good neighborhood, which probably has little punk ass kids that think they're badass by it. So I'm accusing whoever of stealing them because I don't remember leaving in the gym at the same time. Who knows? But either way, I'm not very responsible with them, so I punished myself and I bought skull candies. It took me off my topic. But getting back to my point. Boy, is it a Monday?
Yeah. Getting
back to my point, if you are still getting by and you've got some money to buy a ton of stuff, especially with how transparent social media is and other folks, you don't necessarily need to dress to impress. I mean, not dress nice, but you don't have to go overboard or completely spend outside of your budget to have some type of impression when you can't live it up full circle, especially with social media, man. They're going to know, and you could be putting that money into your business.
That's right.
Paying someone and that's the biggest thing that we hear sometimes. If it's like a guy like Fat, who follows our silly asses around and everywhere and does all of our production and all that. And you and I could easily find other places to live bigger. Not that we don't, what we have isn't big enough. It's plenty big enough, but we could do that or drive something fancier. But we'd be missing out on allocating that money to him. And I think a lot of people have that where, they're looking for the next buck or they can't afford something. So this leads me to my point. When we first started, and I've said this story, so I'll cliff note it, but I got rid of everything. I just ran as fast as I could to broke.
When you were first getting into real estate?
Yeah. So I walked away from that fitness company, right, where I was number 2. And when I walked away, man, I had a little bit in savings, but didn't want to touch it, and I didn't want to be reliant upon it, right? So I did Lyft and Night or whatever it may be, but I sold cars, lived in an overgrown pantry with Fig Newtons and Campbell's soup. You've heard it, right? As my buddy's mom's Y2K pantry. But I was okay with it because it alleviated any obligation or any stress to pay a bill. Let me focus, let me compartmentalize, and let me respect the industry, man. No disrespect to anybody doing some things part-time, but if you really want to dive into real estate and take yourself serious and have other people take you serious with the biggest purchase of their lives, you better know market, you better know industry, you better know how to negotiate, you better know the ins and outs on everything possible to be the best professional possible to rate what you're doing. And if you're not diving in full time, I don't know how you do it. Nothing against part-timers. I think it takes a little longer. I think you can convert. I'm not saying it's impossible. That was just my take on it. But if you're going part-time and then you start struggling, or you realize, oh man, part-time doesn't work. Maybe it works for some, but if it's not working for you, downsize. Like, live minimal. Live in your buddy's basement, and then just do what you got to do to survive and get rid of as many bills. File for bankruptcy. I don't give a shit. Like, anything I'll mention, I've been through myself. So, you know, do what you have to do in order to, like, bounce back and then be successful. And, you know, again, especially when we're in a customer service, client-based industry like you and I, man, I want to make sure that I'm actually really good at what I do. I need that for my clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, we're still broke.
Yep.
But I minimized as much as I could, and now I'm growing back incrementally.
Yep.
You know, and you and I have everything that we need, but overdrafts happen. What's that? Or whatever it may be. And it's, you know, we've had these comments a couple of times. You got them this week, so I want to let you elaborate on the situations. But yeah, maybe there's some coin, you know, that we're making, but we're spending a lot and we're investing a lot, and it's like, and it's all into good stuff. But dude,
yeah,
getting by.
Well, dude, and that's why I think more people need to have this conversation, man, because there's a ton of, you know, people that want to own their own business, and they're just terrified by having to pay for their own health insurance, or they're terrified of, you know, having overhead every month.
Go without.
Right.
What an
That was
asshole
me
thing
for
to
a
say,
long
Will.
time.
Hey, asshole, Will. What a terrible thing to say. I know. It's terrible.
Go without. And hey, the discount that your W-2 job is giving you for your health insurance, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not terrible paying for that shit on your own. But
no.
But anyway, I think a lot of those things keep people, you know, make people shy away from starting their own business, you know, and end up suffering their whole damn lives in that quiet desperation you talk about, because they're just scared to take that leap. When if more people like us had the conversation of like, yeah, this is hard and you deal with it. Yeah. You're going to be broke and you deal with it. And at the end of the day, you're not going to die. You know, you're not going to die.
No. And I think you learn a lot along the way. I think it's good, man. I know, like, I'm big on, I think money has energy, you know? And I think as you grow from the ground up and you have a fresh start and you minimize, and that's why I minimized a lot of my bills, expensive cars, some things that I had. It was really good to just go back, rewind, reset, reframe, restructure, you know, whatever phrase you want to put in there, and then just start from the ground up with money and bills that are even. Like, I don't want to have my bills 10 times bigger than my income. It was nice to just get rid of everything. And I'm making no money, but I don't necessarily have much in bills.
Right.
I was, you know, fortunate. I was sleeping in the basement, which cost me no money for 60 days, you know, and I was there for, you know, so I was there for 2 months and had no bills. And then I just started closing deals and started working at, but I was present. And I think that's something that's huge for my success, is I did not have the stress of a deal hurting me. I did not, you know, of like, oh man, I got to pay rent today, or I got to pay my car today. If we're, oh man, I got this person, oh, I got a client, they got to buy this month. I need it. Like, no, man, what I need them to do is what's right. And I want to put as much information in front of them as possible to help them make a decision, but I want them to make the right decision. I don't want them to do something because I got a bill to pay. And I think there's something to be said, starting a business without any dirty laundry, without any baggage, just putting your clients first. And I think it bleeds through. I think your clients feel it. I think they see it. I think you feel it and you see it in yourself. And I think people are smart, man. I think people are super smart. And, you know, like, I'll take it from my perspective, right? Because I try to stay in my lane as much as I run my mouth. So you might be saying something to me, right? You as in not literally you, but like someone, right?
Yeah.
Not you. I trust you. And maybe I don't know what you're selling me, or maybe I don't know what you're talking about, but I just I feel like you're full of shit. You ever get that? And that's what I mean when I'm talking about like people being smart. Like, they might not know buying and selling houses, and they might not know the market as well as you know the market, quote unquote, or whatever you're saying. But I think people can pick up on bullshit. And
Even
I think
if they can't directly pinpoint it.
Like, they don't know your industry, but they know you're full of shit.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Kind of like, you know, like if Kate talks in Tagalog to her mom or her dad, I don't know what they're saying, but I can sense if it's like, hey, everything okay?
Right. Right.
Right. And then,
Right.
oh, hey, I'll talk to you later. Like, oh, shit. Like,
Mhm.
they don't like the white boy. What is it? They don't want the white guy in the family. What is it? It's not that. But,
Right.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want to go down a road where you start off with baggage and where you're putting clients into a situation when they're trusting you. I think that's huge. So for me, that was a necessity of starting ground zero. But as we grow, now we incrementally grow.
And real quick, something important to note there's going to be people listen to you say that, and they're going to say, oh, but Will, I have a family.
Yeah.
Oh, but Will, I have a car payment.
Oh, that's right. I have a family. They moved home.
That's right.
I didn't even, like, Kate was with her parents. You know, so was our daughter. I didn't live with them. I didn't stay the night with them. Nothing. And I got rid of both cars.
Beautiful car.
Do I miss that car?
Beautiful car.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Here's the other thing too. So I get rid of my cars, right? One of my favorite one at the time is leaving, right? I won't mention
what was
her.
that?
I won't mention her.
Come on.
It was an M3. Yeah. It was great car,
Nice.
but we had a lot of work done to it, man. This is a 700 horse M3. It was great, man. It was, and so it had a buyer, and it's leaving me, and I'm like, I know when it's getting picked up. So I'm like, I tell, hey, Kate, I'm going to the gym, whatever. Cool, right? Kate, bless her heart. Oh, such a girl. She sends me a picture. She's like, hey, I think I just saw your car getting picked up, you know? And she sends me a picture, and it's my car in traffic on a fucking tow truck.
It's terrible.
I felt, it's terrible.
terrible.
Listen, I stopped in the gym. I swear, I felt like my child was going to prison. That's what it felt like. And I was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, hey, thanks for sharing how ironic that is. Oh, hey.
Or if you're like, hey, Eli,
It must have been a Monday.
You're like, hey, Eli, I ran into Megan today, and it's a picture of some other guy with his arm around her. I'm like, thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
It's like, hey, your wife looked great today, dude.
Yeah.
She's in great shape. Like, you guys good? She's hanging out. I don't know, Lamar, my cousin or what? I mean, I don't know, man. But she looked great though, right? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, just like that.
I think it just allowed me to again, man, it allowed me to compartmentalize, get reframed, and focus on what mattered. And clients is what mattered most. Diving in and knowing my job first. And once I start giving that advice, growing, and now we incrementally grow, you know, and then, you know, as we increase in business, we started allocating money to our growth. It wasn't allocating money, and I could very easily just like, oh man, I want that car again. Dude, I can afford that car easy right now. No, not a problem. But is that the right thing to do? No, I don't need another. I got a great car, and I don't need another car, you know, or I don't need like, you know, a lot of flashy things, and need is a strong word, and I'm using that on purpose. Need, whether it's your style or not, whether you like to do it or not, you know, need is a strong word. And I think there's a time and place for everything. But instead of that, you and I allocate a lot of money back to the business and back for growth.
Dude.
However, getting to like what you want to talk about today, it still makes us broke. Money in, money out. So yeah, a lot more money in, but a lot of money out. And dude, a lot of things are riding on continuing our income and continuing that pace, or what we have here doesn't get paid. Right.
This is where, you know, you come into that phase of, you know, when you start developing that mindset of being broke and being okay with being broke. And when I say a broke mindset, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a resourceful and creative way, in a perseverance sort of way. And Damon John, the Shark Tank guy, he has a book out called The Power of Broke, and it's the FUBU guy, how he essentially started and used being broke and selling out of trunks. Gee, you almost wear a FUBU hat today?
Not today. Back in the day before I knew what it stood for.
Yeah.
So one of my homies hooked me up.
And that's the power of broke, man. And that's as you begin to make money. The way I look at it, man, is, you know, the longer you're comfortable being broke per se and living below your means, the more you're going to have on the back end and the more successful you're going to be. Because now, like, our goals are to grow this podcast, to grow the company, to do more deals, to help our team do more real estate transactions. If our goal is to get a new fucking car, to get whatever new to go on trips all the time, dude, we're making poor decisions, and we're missing out on every opportunity that we have for content, for team growth, for everything, man.
Well, and here's the deal too, man. Like, a lot of people are reliant upon us being successful, right? We have families, we have people that have trusted us that are on the team, you know, and things like that. And again, you're right. If the goal was to buy a new car, man, we would have hit that. And now what? But now you're you're paying that car for 5 or for 7 years, and that money is allocated to something else that can't be productive. And I think that's the biggest thing is if you're comfortable with nothing. So like for me, man, being a grunt in the Marine Corps, you don't have shit anyway. I still live out of a duffel bag.
Yeah.
But I'm more dude, if I don't use something for a year, it's gone.
Yep.
And I got so used to that. But I do enjoy the camaraderie. I do enjoy growing a business with someone. I think it reminds me a lot of Marines and that camaraderie within the Marine Corps and, with your guys. But you're right, man. If you can understand that first phase of being super broke and having nothing, not even money for like growth, just money to get by, just money to put in your gas tank. And as you build, but then as you build and you're making more, avoiding the temptation of spending that on dumb shit to show everyone and prove a point to someone.
Right.
I think that's the thing. Is like, look, I made it. I've got the car, or I've got a bigger house, whatever it may be, and it feels good. Don't get me wrong, but is making that point so early on to prove to some people if that's what it is that the right decision versus staying minimal, staying within that means, right? And then just allocating a lot more money into the growth of your business. And I think that's, like when they talk about businesses failing in that first 2 years, I think the growth you can have between year 2 and year 5 are phenomenal. I think it's one of the biggest.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest. And I'm only saying that here's my experience, because the companies that I've helped grow, I end up leaving right around that time, right? Or being a cop for 5 years. But here's where my experience kind of comes into play with that. Who I was as a 2-year Marine, who I was as a 5-year Marine, not even close. But the investment into that is what changed it. Same thing with police work, same thing with anything else that I've done. And that's what I mean. Like when you're taking your experience and you're applying your tools to the best of your ability, putting that first, not yourself and any ego, but putting the company, putting your child per se, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
First, and investing as much as you can. Why some people are falling off, I think they're making the wrong decisions with money. And I think people that are choosing not to do that, they take off. And your 2 to 5 years could be phenomenal, right? If you do it the right way.
Yeah, and I think if you go into it with that survival mentality, we talked about this a little bit, I think on our last podcast when we talked about setting expectations with your wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, whatever, and setting the expectation that, hey, even when this money comes in, this isn't ours, and that's one of the biggest things I think people need to talk about is talking about, just because money comes in, that's company's money, like that's the way people should be looking at it. And you can pay yourself whatever out of that to get by, but that's how I look at it. Like any income that comes in, I don't look at it like my money or our money. That's company money. Eli gets part of that, but that's company money. So,
and it's so hard when you own the company,
right? Right.
What she wants to say is like, "Bitch, please," right? Or hey, well, you got more deals coming in, yeah,
more company money, right? Yeah. But that's that expectation, and that comes down to.
But I think you did that right. You know what I mean? To interrupt you, and maybe you can review a little bit of that on this.
I like how you did that though. For the first time ever, he said to interrupt you instead of not to interrupt you. Blah 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 blah. He actually just said to interrupt you. Da, da, da. Thank you for being honest.
Like when I call you, like when someone calls, like, "Hey, sorry to bother on a Sunday." Like, well, you already called, so
I'll just be a second.
What do you mean? We already on the phone. Are you sorry? Like, what do you mean here?
So that was good. Sorry to interrupt you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Stop it. To continue.
To continue my interruption.
I think it's important, man. So when you talked about, like when you spoke to your wife of just expectations of, this was in one of our, I think it was a couple podcasts ago. You talked about just the expectations of just starting a company and just the amount of effort that's going to go into that. And I thought it was phenomenal. But something we did not speak on was, hey, so listen, hey man, right? What was it for the wife? Like, hey, hun. Yeah. So listen, I know we spoke last week on all the effort and how I'm never going to be home. Oh, by the way, you're going to be broke while we're doing it.
Yep.
Right? Yep. How did that go?
Yep. Dude, she's ride or die, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's ride or die. She always has been. That's one of the good things about meeting when you're broke, when you're young and broke, and then
to interrupt
going through that together.
Yeah. Speak on that.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Dude, great. Yeah, great. I think that's super solid. I would genuinely be fucked with mentally if I had met someone in my 40s or something. I don't know. You know,
when you're already rich.
When you're already rich, and then they're with you, and you're just like, ugh. Like, and she didn't see the climb with you, and if she already came from kind of a like, I don't know. I just don't like that.
It's hard.
Where you come from is where you come from. But if you come from like a privileged place and then you meet me halfway through and you get to capitalize on the past 20 years of, you know, something that I've been building.
And if they say nice things to you,
you always wonder, man.
You're like, and like, see, I understand why you would wonder. Like, you're a good looking dude. See this face? This face has been ran through fucking walls. Okay. So if I've got like some hottie down the road and I've already made it, and she's like telling me how great I look in this suit, I'm like, listen, fucking lie to me.
You're like, where's this going?
I'm ugly on purpose, Eli. I fucking try hard.
You're not ugly, bro. You got the
and it makes see, now I know Kate's here for the right reasons, not just for my rapist wits, right? Don't go under my good looks. Yeah, remember that he's like, tell her I have a rapist wit. Remember he's in the orange tuxedo? Yeah, dude, I know she's here for the right reasons because I was broke and I'm not that good looking. So I'm like, she like believed in me.
Yep.
But no, you're right, man. Kate, she paid for my real estate. I wouldn't even 100% I hadn't even dove into that 100%. There was a couple of opportunities I had when I was walking away from that fitness company. I was dabbling in them a little bit and still a little unsure. And I wasn't really quite ready to pull the trigger on anything. And she's like, hey, I've got some friends that do pretty decent at it. And I think you're great with people. I think you care. And she's like, you know, you've been putting 16 hours a day into somewhere else. Imagine if you put it into your own. Because at this point, I was still looking at other companies.
That's a great point.
And she's like, why don't you just do your own? And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do with that? Like, kind of being a smart ass. Right? Like, maybe I was throwing a pity party, feel bad for me. I don't know. She checked me. Yeah. But she's like, I think this. And I'm like, why? But come to find out, man, you're around people in real estate long enough where if you're full of shit, man, they're going to figure it out. So I dove in, and I finished that school, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give this a certain amount of time, and I'm going to turn every stone. So that way, if for some reason, you know, this doesn't work out, she doesn't think I quit on her.
Yeah.
She actually sees the amount of effort that I put into it, and it genuinely wasn't for me. Now, we talk about, well, if you work hard at anything, you're going to be successful for the most part. True. But I also really I enjoy the amount of relationship we get with people. I enjoy the duration of time, and I really enjoy the shit out of what we do. So it was a win-win. But you're right, man. Like, her and I, man, like, you want to hear some cliche shit? Did I message her on Facebook? Yeah. That's awesome. I'm like, hey, Fat, that makes me a millennial, right?
Yes.
Fat's having some tummy problems today, so he doesn't want to talk much. Right, Fat?
This is more like,
yes,
not like gastrointestinal, but more like mechanical.
Like,
let's talk about this. Let's talk.
No,
to let you
talk about me.
So to let you off the hook, Fat. So yeah, man. So I used to read her blog, super, super geeked out on her blog. She writes incredible, and I was big on I want you to be smart too. Like, not just pretty, right? That's bullshit, right?
Punctuation, capitalization.
Yeah, perfect. But I didn't know her.
Yeah.
But we were friends on Facebook, and allegedly I friend requested her. I think that's bullshit. I think she friend requested me. But either way, dude, I used to read her stuff forever, and then I had this guy come into the fitness company I worked with, and we were chatting, and we were talking about like the stuff he wants to do. And he's like, hey, I love your shirts there. Like, how do I get some? I'm like, how many do you want? He's like, 20. I'm like, dude, if you order separate, man, they're going to cost way too much. Just throw me your logos and what you want, whatever. I'll add it to one of our orders. You'll get the same price. We're going to hook you up. Because he bought his supplements there.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, thanks. You know, I've got some other stuff going on. So we met a couple times and just kind of became friends, man. And then one day I see him post a picture with a couple of friends, and Kate was in that photo. And I texted him. I was like, hey, bro, like, whenever you got some time, come see me at the office. He's like, yeah, I'm coming by. I'll pick up the shirts. And, you know, and it was like his third or second order of shirts. Maybe it was his hoodies, because I had known him, man, for like 6 months at this point. And I was like, hey, man, you know so-and-so? He's like, I was like, hey, you know Kate? And he's like, Kate. I'm like, don't play stupid with me. She's in your picture. He's like, oh, Mara? He's like, yeah, I've known her since junior high, fucking nerd, right?
Right.
He's like, oh, you like her? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I've been reading her blog for however long, but I feel so stupid. Like, I can't message her on Facebook if I don't know her, because I'm like, she's not going to read it. If she hasn't even heard of my name, I'm a idiot. Yeah. So I never did it. So a couple weeks go by, I'm like begging him, I think, right? And I think I was begging him. And he during football season. And he mentions my name, shows her a picture. Of course, girls got to see out, and she's like, was he 6 foot? That bullshit. So I met the guidelines.
And he's like, yes.
Yeah. So I met the guidelines.
Like it's annoying unless you're actually 6 foot.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
God damn it.
For all the 5'4" out there. So yeah, man. So he told, I saw him like a week later. I was like, hey, did you talk? He's like, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you. I talked to her like a week ago. And I was like, dude. So then I wrote her a message, and I wrote her out. Dude, it was long as shit. Everything I thought of her, and I was yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And then I'm like, all right, sent, right? And then you got the solid bubble on the right. So, like, it's there.
Yep.
Dude, I'm opening my phone every 10 seconds. Nope, nothing. And then I pull up to Walmart. I'm, like, headed home for the night from work, and I'm sitting at Walmart going to grab some milk, whatever I was grabbing. And I open my phone. I open it up, and the bubbles are moving.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to get fucked off. Oh, she's got something. She has some nice things to say. And I was like, so I sat in the parking lot, and we kind of messaged back and forth. But, dude, here's the thing. Like, I wasn't rich working for that company. We were well off, but I wasn't rich, and we had everything going for us. We were up and coming. I walked away from that. I walked away from that and went to a fucking basement. Okay? And I battled that. Not to get too emotional on a Monday. I battled that because everything I had led up to that point, like with all of my careers and my ego was at stake in my own head, right? My own accolades. I struggled. And man, I struggled to the point to where, I had a pretty decent sized argument in her house one day with her father and her mother there. Not directed at Kate, and yeah, it was a super escalated conversation that led to this argument. And I remember her dad talking to me, was trying to get through to me. And it just, this was between Kate and her mom, and it wasn't necessarily involving me, but I involved myself, which isn't necessarily the right thing. And don't want to say too much here because I don't want to get too personal without people's permission. Well, Kate should have a choice. But here's the gist of it. Yeah. So he's talking to me, and I'm trying to justify that it's not, hey, this has nothing to do with me. And, he kind of, I thought he was raising his voice at me when he's probably just trying to get through to me. I'm in his house, and then he comes closer to me, and I don't do well with that. And that's just from Marine Corps stuff, man, and police stuff, and my personal space, especially if I'm not happy, just leave it be. And he kind of got close to me, man, and I shoved him a little bit. Not okay, dude, not okay. And I remember leaving that night and just super upset and my family's good to go, man. I don't have anything bad to say about my family, and we all have our issues. We've all grown up a certain way, and this and that and that and this, and the bottom line was I was completely oblivious at that moment that's not my house. What am I doing?
Right.
And if he gets close to me, okay, but am I really threatened by him, or is he just trying to get through to me? Why would I think that out of all people that would harm me, it would be him? Right? That's not okay. I remember leaving that night, and Kate, she stayed there, and I went, I went to go stay with a friend, and I was just so upset by it. But she stood by me. Her dad, was well, this is getting a little personal, isn't it?
Oh, I like it.
I think it's needed, man.
It is needed, man.
Kate's father had a talk with her, and he's like, hey, and is this the guy you want? Around Chloe, is this the guy for you? And hey, push your father. And she's like, dude, she stood up to her own father, and they come from a big culture, and they're a phenomenal, they're a good family. They respect one another. They care about what each other says. It's not like some American culture where a lot of kids, I'm not framing anybody here, but fuck my mom, fuck my parents, what they think. No, man. And I'm sure Fat can attest to this too, man. Dude, what your parents think it matters. And this was something that was not oh, you want to be entrepreneur and you're not a doctor?
Right.
Right? This isn't that. This is, hey, some huge guy just shoved your dad. This is not about career choice and being a nurse and all that funny shit. No, this is someone who pushed your dad in his house, right? And don't get me wrong, I didn't knock him over. It wasn't crazy, but it was completely inappropriate. And she stood by my side, and she's like, no, that's not who he is. Not his best life, but that's not who he is. And this was just after she bought my real estate license or my schooling, right? And I remember that. And so this is when I had just downsized everything. And I started to get scared of my plan. That fear crept in a little bit. No matter what I had been through in life, I hadn't done it in business
This is
yet.
that part that you talk about when you talk about it, but now
Yeah.
it happens. It's
Yeah.
a different feeling when
I'm scared of
when
myself.
things are actually happening, right?
Yeah, like I had actually downsized everything. I had actually gotten rid of my apartment. I had actually gotten rid of everything, and I was making this decision. And dude, I was super scared of myself, and I was scared of the future, and I was allowing my energy to come out where it shouldn't have. So so I stay with I'm staying with in my buddy's basement, and I'm not welcome at the house at this point, which is dude, respect, man. Like, and but I still see Chloe and Kate, and she comes and sees me at the park by the school, and dude, and she just vouched for me, right? And bought that. I'm like, you're a piece of shit if you let her bet on you like that, and you're wrong. You make her wrong, right? So I didn't know anything at that point about myself or where it would take me, but I knew like I can't let that go, So long story short, I'm dropping Kate off one day at the house, and her dad happened to be coming home from work, and he was walking in, and I said, hey, hey sir, how are you? And I walked up to him. I said, hey, listen, I know I'm not welcome here, but I see you walking into your house, and I'm not gonna act like you don't exist. I at least want to acknowledge your presence. And he's like, no, I appreciate that, and he's like, hey, I heard your birthday's coming up soon. I'm like, yeah, it's coming up, and turning 12 apparently by my maturity, and he's like, we should go grab some lunch, or we should go grab some dinner. And I'm like, listen, I would be blessed if I had that opportunity with you. I would really appreciate that. And he's like, okay, how about Sunday? This is like a Thursday. He's like, how about Sunday? Okay. And so we go out to eat Sunday, and we're talking about a couple of things. We're small talking, how's work, how's this, how's that. And then we get into it. We get into what happened, and he opened up and just said, like, Kate was able to enlighten him on some of my stuff and where I was coming from. And then I had the opportunity to apologize, because none of those circumstances made what I did okay. And I had a couple of months to, probably 2 months to reflect on that. And it's just not okay. And I had the opportunity, right? Like, and I think people miss that, right? Like, no, man, you're lucky you're even in this fucking room having this opportunity. No matter what I had going on, you get close to me, and that's my personal space. Fuck off, man. Like, it wasn't. Like, it was, and that's my reaction. But looking back on it, like, I let my emotions get to me, and I let my emotions make a decision. And, so we discuss it. And I apologize for everything, but I go a step further, and I articulate my thought on where, hey, no excuse, and here's why I think I didn't say but. I just said, here's why I think I allowed myself to be wrong in that manner. And yeah, he forgave me. He says, hey, my wife and I, I've spoken to her, and he was talking to me, and he kind of had his mind made up a little bit depending on how the conversation was going. He's like, my daughter loves you, my granddaughter loves you, so I love you.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah, but it's like, just to have that opportunity, and being broke didn't matter at that point, because, man, I wasn't broke. Yeah, I had a lot of love. I had a lot of support that was behind me. And I had someone that vouched for me when she had no reason to, man. Like, she had no reason to stick up or to vouch or to anything in my direction, right? So the trust, like, to get back, this is long story long with kind of sharing that experience, but the trust I had with, when we talk about, like, the people that we're with in life, man, you can't crack that. Like, that's super important to me. And her and I don't get along every single day, and we have our shit, man. Everybody's shit stinks, right? We have our shit, but it's really hard to crack that, especially when we've got kids together, and she's phenomenal with them. And you're right, man. If we were in a different place, I think the decisions we make or the people we're around would be a lot different. And in addition to that, man, a completely different epiphany hits me, like, in the moment as we're talking. Man, I wasn't broke.
Right.
That was my brokest point in life. But, like, with the support I had from her, just and it's not like her dad was like, all right, hey, we forgive you. Like, oh, you're gonna be amazing. No, dude, he wasn't like that. It was like, hey, we forgive you. And we see a lot of good in you, and my daughter sees a lot of good in you, and we think you're gonna do a lot of great things. But I started to prove it. So every day, I really try to capitalize on that opportunity. But I think just feeling like, man, like, that filled me so much to be, welcome back at the house and around my family. And, man, I wasn't broke at all. And now, Dude, everybody knows me. I got 3 pink camouflage shirts. I got 3 gray fucking fanny pack looking shirts. I wear those to the gym. I got a couple gray shorts.
Yep.
You know, and I go to the gym and it's all good, and I'll get more clothes when these rip up so much that they fall off my body, or, you know, and then I'll buy more. But dude, I don't need. And I used to be the guy that, dude, I loved cars. I spent so much money, 120 grand and up on cars, and loved them, and they were my sanctuary. I used to drive a lot. It brought me clarity and peace, but I really found a lot of clarity and peace with family,
dude. And fulfillment too, I think is like a really important word there. And I'm super glad you told that story, man, because bringing up the fact that that's when you realized at your brokest is when you actually realized you weren't broke at all. No. Like, that's so important, man, because I think it's critical for people to realize, you know, how much you actually do have, and not to get cliche and weird and too hippie about it, but when you actually look at it, like the things that we do have around us, fuck, man, just being born where, you know, in the United States, like that alone right there, dude, you've already won the game. Right. You've already won. And then if you weren't born into an absolute piece of shit family, dude, that's the lottery right there. Like those two things. You're born into a decent family. You're born in the United States. You have every opportunity out there for you. And dude, and for me, like, dude, I will be broke every day the rest of my life if that means I don't have to have a fucking boss. Yeah. Like, I'm 100%. If I didn't make $1 more than I am today for the rest of my life, I would be perfectly fine. My wife would be fine. My son would be fine. We'd be fine, man. Like, that's just because, you know, there's fulfillment in other areas.
I agree. And here's, you know, it also teaches another lesson, just like, you know, the opportunity I was given by our father to be apologetic and to have an opportunity to make right on the wrong. You don't always get those.
Nope.
Correct?
Nope.
And when you get them, it's a blessing.
Yep.
So that's the same thing in life, right? Like, if you have the opportunity to restart and start a new career, if you have the opportunity to work 6 hours at night on a side gig until you get to a place where it can be your full-time gig, you don't always have that opportunity. I mean, you might die tomorrow, and that's the super rare one. That's the cliche, you know, oh, you could die tomorrow. Yeah, but probably not. We're probably going to be here long as fuck. However, long as fuck goes by really quick. And I don't mean just getting old. I mean, look, at some point you're going to have the mortgage. You're going to have kids, and then, look, your kids become a priority over your own priority. And if you want to go out, you know, chasing waterfalls and all that TLC bullshit to kind of lighten the mood a little bit, right? Like, at some point, your opportunity, like, yes, you can always do that, but at some point, you're like, well, am I sacrificing my family? Like, like a lot of cops when I left, you know, they've been around 15, 17 years, and, you know, like, the retirements were all tied up in stocks and things like that. When the market crashed, some guys lost 250, 300 grand, you know, and they worked another 10 years just to get it back. But here's the deal. You know, so all right, leave and move and go do something else. But some guys, man, they're 17 years in with 3 kids and a mortgage, and they got boats, and they got little league football and basketball and cheerleading to play for. So, man, I respect the fact that it's like, look, dude, I can't. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, true. You can't ever say no. But you know what? I can't speak to your circumstances. And I agree. It looks hard as fuck for you to not to pay for that mortgage and your 3 kids and all their activities. And at some point, it's like, you know what? Me chasing some dream is no longer the priority. Now it's about, like, providing for my family. And you know what? There's something honorable to say you provide for your family. Like, yeah, I didn't have time to do that. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have these certain things that kids have. And by the time they came around and I was proficient at it, I'm 20 years in the police department. Right. You're right, man. You're not leaving. I get it. Maybe once you retire, you'll do something. So I think phases come too, but I think it's honorable to provide for your family. But just like that opportunity I had to say, I'm sorry, and make it right. Look, man, those don't always come around. So if there are people, maybe you should be saying that too. I would think about that and then correlate that to opportunities.
Dude, the word opportunity there is huge because, like, when you think the direction that could have taken, when you saw him walking into his house, you saw an opportunity. But it also took you walking up to him after that embarrassing situation, I imagine, probably a little shameful too, and then having that conversation and putting yourself out there and saying what you said and taking him out to lunch. If you didn't walk up to him that day, literally, who knows where you'd be, and I'm sure you'd be fine, but things could be drastically different, man.
Drastically different. And maybe he was waiting for that. I don't know. I've never asked him that question, but I'll tell you what, there's something super powerful not to get super serious on you guys today, but maybe it is meant to be super serious today. And that's why I love these topics that we have, and how we discuss them very current in real time and matter of fact, because you never know where they go. But, it's super humbling when you are super wrong and there's no, like, you wouldn't even be mad if someone didn't give you the opportunity. Like, you couldn't even blame them. Right. But they give it to you. Holy shit. And, like, not to get too stuck in the weeds, man. That allowed him and I to have a closer relationship. And I, every once in a while I reach out and I speak to him and we talk about forgiveness, and what a powerful guy that guy is, man. And he was extraordinarily successful in business. Don't get me wrong, man. That's a whole nother day I could talk about that. But leading from the front with forgiveness just humbled the crap out of me. And it led to some further conversations over time, and I'm fine. I got no complaints with my upbringing, but we all have our days, right? Yeah. Man, there's some things that I was holding on to and different stuff, and like the forgiveness that he had in me when I didn't even deserve it, man, it led to me forgiving my own dad. Right, which leads to a lot better times. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's almost like people have said that before. Oh, hey, forgive people because that's for you, right? Like, and dude, look, not to laugh at it, but sometimes it's like, yeah, man, that sounds cool and all, but dude, it's hard. It's hard to forgive people and then truly understand that it's actually taking a burden or some stress or energy, like the energy you spend on keeping a barrier up. It's hard. Yeah. But when you hear it from a guy who did it for you, it's like, hold on a minute. Who the fuck am I to judge anyone or hold a grudge against anyone when it's not held against me, man? It's a domino effect. And then it starts opening your mind of like, one, like, hey, who am I? But then secondly, hey, there's more people around. Like, like I have sisters, I have a mom, I've got kiddos, right? Like, I got a family, and like, okay, so you want to hold up a grudge or you want to hold on to something because you're right? Okay, but then everyone misses out. And then maybe sometimes people just aren't good at saying I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe their way of saying sorry is just coming around and being in a good mood and reaching out. Who knows? And sometimes, especially like with our parents' generation, man, it's not the same level of communication, right?
They just don't talk about it. Yeah.
But hearing a guy talk to me about that kind of stuff that gave it to me, what a hard hit. And then it again, man, it allows you, because I think the first phase I was in was like the opportunity and being so thankful to just have the opportunity to apologize and make right. Then that second phase kicks in about like, okay, where do you give it back? And I wasn't even thinking that on purpose. I was just talking to him about my dad one day and going over some stuff. And it was like, yeah, man, who the fuck am I to not reciprocate? Right. And it was huge. Right. But again, I know we're being lighthearted. I don't mean to make you guys all sad today. No, dude. When we're talking about being broke and certain stuff, like, you got to get your mind right. Yeah. And if you're going to start a new endeavor, especially, something as like hard as entrepreneurship, I don't mean go on some sorry spree, right? Or go all crazy, but, maybe your circumstance is okay. But I think no matter what, man, like, you really got to dial in and you really got to make sure your mind's right, and here's the deal. The biggest part too is like, when you get into it, like, it's all exciting and you're doing it, the first couple of months are scary. And you might think you're okay, but you're not. Maybe you're treating other people differently. Maybe you're high strung. Maybe you're taking your insecurity and your fear out on other people. And so for me, it's not so much like the start of like that I have a hard time with. I got no problem jumping off and starting. Right. Where I had the problem was when it sank in. Yep. And then not really, like, I'm so busy with the work part because I'm just scrounging to stay afloat and grind. You're a little dark to your own emotions and how you're handling situations and how you're actually like putting a lot of that energy into other people in a not so good way.
Well, dude, that's why I think it's so good to clean shop before you start an endeavor, man, because it's going to be hard. You're going to be broke. There's going to be a lot of problems. And if you don't have your mind right, if you don't have your relationships in a good place, if you're not physically healthy and okay and ready to do this, dude, it's going to be a hell of a lot more to handle than, there's so much with just entrepreneurship and the struggles that come along with that. If you have a crappy home life, if you're physically unfit, dude, it's going to be a really, really, really hard road for you.
I agree. And here's why I agree with you. I think entrepreneurship, if you want to be good at it, I remember Gary Vee talking, not to get on that dude's nuts. Like, I think I just have a rental property on Gary Vee's nuts. And I hang out there. Like, I always look over, by the way, because I know Fat's like looking at me,
See what
looking at
Fat's
him,
doing.
looking at me, looking at him, see if I made him laugh. Hey, I rent Gary V's nuts and see if he laughs. But I think to be a good entrepreneur is different. Everybody's putting entrepreneur on their Facebook and this and that. And he's like, hey, I could put basketball player on mine. Doesn't mean I'm in the NBA.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm making money. Doesn't mean I'm successful. I'm just putting that. And he talks about a lot of people, the fake entrepreneur era. And I think we're living in it. And like it takes nothing to put that on there. But if you want to be a good entrepreneur, like especially like from my perspective, I've been good at a lot of things. Humbly, I think I've excelled at a lot of things, and at least standards of where I've been. I've said I've been good at some things. Entrepreneurship, to be good at it, it takes everything from you. It takes every bit of everything to be good at it, and it'll take a lot of things from you.
Over a very long period of time.
Yeah, and it, like when they talk about combat. When Marines talk about combat and things happen, you can't explain it. It's like, hey, that's the nature of the beast. But you gotta improvise and adapt and overcome and move past. And hey, guys die. And like, what kind of statement is that? But fuck, some of it, from what they say, you can't explain it, right? And entrepreneurship is a little bit of the same, as in like you never know what you're gonna be, what's gonna get thrown at you, and it's got no remorse for whatever you think should be feeling bad for you at that moment. As a matter of fact, that might make it worse. If you let that consume you, and it tanks every bit of you, which is why I agree with you when you say like, get your relationships right. If relationships are just toxic, like it's okay to leave them in peace and just not be around them, and mentally and physically be in a good place. And I know that's a completely different, podcast. We were talking about that today about fitness, and I definitely want to do one. I think it's important, but you use the gym. You come from a fitness background. I use my body a lot background with. With the careers that I've had. But for me, the gym was always mental. You know what I mean? Like that was where like my escape was. However, the gym will never fucking lie to you, man. Like a mile is a mile is a mile. And if you run it in 7 instead of 6, you ran it in 7 instead of 6. The treadmill's not throwing you favors that day. The trail's not throwing you favors that day. You want to go bench 400 pounds and you get it twice instead of 4 or 5. You got it twice.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. Like it's not going to like, oh, hey, Eli's sad today.
He showed up. He tried really
hard. And
like
they talk to Gravity. They throw that call in, and Gravity's like, okay, yeah, I'm in a good mood today. Man, like that gym will never lie to you. Yeah. And I think, if used right, man, fitness is a great mental escape / strengthener because it keeps you accountable to something. But also when you make those gains, they're earned. So if you do bench or squat that 600 pounds and you squat it 6 times instead of 2 times, you did it.
Right.
There is no, you got lucky. There is no anything. It's like you put that, you did it, and it gives you a lot of confidence. But the only way you get to that confidence and the only way you get it and earn it, and that gym's giving you the credit, is by putting in the work.
Putting in the work. And
that's it.
And what I like about that is you get that immediate feedback. And I think you get that in business as well. Maybe not immediate, but you definitely get feedback. And here's the thing. If you're not getting customers, guess what? You need to go and you actually need to learn about marketing. You need to learn about customer acquisition. That's the universe of business telling you, hey, you're not ready for this. You need to go learn. You learn that stuff, you apply. And then guess what? Maybe your P&L is all jacked up and you're not making any money. Now you need to go and you need to learn accounting. You need to learn bookkeeping. You need to
at least to survive.
And
like you and I, like, dude, P&Ls are not my strength, right? Accounting's not my strength. Like, it makes sense to me, and I love your father for explaining it to us, but that's not what I get paid to do.
Right.
However, and dude, I'm again, Gary V's nuts. Watch out, Fat, coming through. I do agree when he talks about tripling down on your strengths.
Yes.
Right. However, you do have to have some level of proficiency to at least understand what's going on.
A basic understanding.
So people don't steal from you, and so you can understand like what they're talking about, so you can make progress, or so you can allocate energy where it needs to be to be productive.
And frankly, I just think that's the cost of doing business. I think that's the cost of entrepreneurship. Especially I didn't go to college. I didn't take an accounting class. I didn't take a marketing class. I didn't take any fucking classes, but when you go through the school of business, it's going to tell you what you need to learn. And instead of just letting that be your downfall, learn some shit, apply it. If you need to, find someone who do it for you. Yes, we have an accountant now, but having that baseline level of proficiency as far as like accounting goes and marketing and taxes. You need to understand that stuff. And
you got to pay your taxes.
Guys, we got Google. You can figure this stuff
that's true.
out.
No, it's true. And but again, man, I think when we talk about being broke, you know, since that's the theme for today, it is a lot of it is being able to just find your place at peace, man. And just understanding like the direction that you want to go, and just being happy with the fact that you're chasing something that you want to do, and you're conquering some fear. I think there's a lot of fulfillment in that, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily come out as a dollar, you know, immediately. But I think there's a lot of fulfillment of just going out and chasing what you think might be there for you. Man, there's a freedom to that, you know. And like when we started, you know, when I jumped on board with that fitness company, dude. You know, I was friends with the owner, and I slept on his couch for 90 days because we didn't have money to pay me. We had to go create it. And I walked away from police work and your 401k and your retirement and that white picket fence they throw at you. Right? We talked about that a couple podcasts ago. And you know, I slept on his couch for 90 days, you know, and he's like, hey, man, I can afford to pay you for 60 days. After that, that's it, bro. Like, no savings. We got to make this happen. I'm like, all right, cool. And we had a plan, and we broke even the first month, which means I was able to get paid. And after paying me plus the other bills, we broke even. So I paid for myself. Yeah. And then every month after that, we started making progress and profit. And then, you know, within 90 days, I ended up just going and getting a little apartment. Cool, man. And that was it. Nothing else, just a little apartment. And but boy, it felt good, man. It built my confidence, but I also kind of missed that couch. I was proud of the apartment, but I was just, man, it was nice to lay down every night and just like, man, I got nothing. I literally was living out of an Under Armour duffel bag at the time because he didn't have a closet for me. It was like a tri-level house. So I'm in a lower level on the couch by the TV, like totally taking up his dating space, right? Like, no dating for you, buddy. Like your boy's sleeping on the couch. But there's just it's hard to explain, but there's just a liberating feeling of just trying to go out and tackle it. But here's the deal. I minimize like when at that point, like when I was like, I didn't have any bills. So when I got, you know, when we were going over the budget and how much he could afford to pay me if we didn't profit. And it was like, I'm like, I got like maybe 60 days. Well, when I jumped on board, I'm like, what can I get rid of? So I got rid of my place. I got rid of rent. I got rid of things. So when I slept on his couch, all I had was my truck payment. Yeah. And I did pretty good on my truck. I was like paying $300, $400 something bucks on it. And I knew I could at least pay that, you know, so I got rid of a ton of stuff. So I didn't have such an obligation on him or the company or myself to pay me. And then again, within 90 days, I'm back at my own one bedroom place anyway. But again, man, it was liberating and I felt good about what I was doing. But the relationships that were around me at the time were productive, you know, and then like the transition with you and I, man, and into real estate, that was a rough one. That one was a hard one to tackle because when I left that fitness company, I had a lot of stories tied up into it. I had a lot of my identity tied up into it, which was a lot harder because I'd shared a ton of stuff I'm sharing like on this podcast. I shared some of that, you know, as we were growing, and some of my identity was wrapped up into that, you know, and I was having some just some of my own kickback internally, you know, and I took that out in other areas. That was not okay, you know, and it was important for me to reflect on that. It was important for me to make right on that when the opportunity was given. And, you know, part of us taking off now, and we're still broke because we're paying for valuable China and things like that.
You mean Vietnam?
Yeah. You know, because we're paying for the finer things. I just appreciate where it started from the get-go. And I think that's important for people to understand is when you're going to go off and chase that and dive in full time, or when you're allocating the 6 hours at night to do part-time, like, man, just appreciate the opportunity that you have to be there. And if you can sleep on your friend's couch and get rid of a ton of shit, like work hard. Don't just end up sleeping on their couch for your fucking life. Like, work hard and put a plan together. But you're going to appreciate being broke, and you're going to appreciate the opportunity that presents in order to take that step back and maybe catapult yourself 20 steps further.
Use it. Trust 100%. Me. The more uncomfortable you are, you ain't going to sit in that pot of boiling water for long. You're going to get your ass up and get moving and do some shit. No. You're sitting in your comfortable house and letting your mortguage payment slip. That's not painful enough. You need to change some shit up and get out there.
And it is good to have things. So as you grow, like having that, you know, when I was at the fitness, like growing, having an apartment, or like now we went from our, you know, when we first started, you know, we had a condo. you know, like I got out of that basement and Kate's like, you can't be studying in that basement all the time. I was like, no, it's okay. And no, it wasn't okay because my buddy lived there and he had kiddos and they were running around and they're awesome kids, but I couldn't focus, you know, and I needed some place. And she's like, hey, like I can afford it. Like we can just, hey, let's get a condo. Let's let you compartmentalize. We got a little place and it was nice, dude. It was cool. Still to this day, my favorite.
But you're already
place.
licensed at that point.
Yep. So
I
had just passed my test and all that, and I was a full broker, and you know, we got that place, and it's my favorite. It's just a little 1-bedroom condo, but it had a huge loft. So Chloe had like a bigger bedroom than we did. It was bigger than the master, but it was cool, and I was able to just compartmentalize. No, actually, I wasn't licensed. No, I take that back because I remember studying for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
I think I was there for 2 or 3 weeks before I finished up, and then I passed, and then I worked from 7 a.m. I literally went to the gym at like 7 a.m. You know, I worked till I was doing social media stuff and just grinding till 10, 11 p.m. once I got licensed because I felt bad even being there because she was paying for it. I knew she had my back, but I just wanted, she had already had my back with her father, and everything was good at that point, obviously, you know, and I just wanted to make right and have that and take advantage of that opportunity. And again, guys, I speak about this so much, but just the perspective on everything, it matters so much because, man, I still live like that to this day. So now we're upgraded into a significantly bigger house, but it's not necessarily more than we need, but we can definitely grow into it a little bit. We got some room to grow, and we have our son, and we're in a phenomenal place. But I think we're in a phenomenal place because going back to the beginning of being broke, man, I wasn't broke at all. Dude, I had an opportunity.
Stories, man, those stories are priceless. Like going through like Megan and I going through, we've been through for the past 10 years. You and Kate going through what you guys have been through. You know, when we're in our 50s and 60s, man, looking back on everything that we've been through together and that we all created, and knowing that they were there from DayOneDollarZero.
Dude, literally.
They were there from DayOneDollarZero. Man, people don't get, you know how rare that is, man.
It's super rare.
So
rare.
Rare.
And I like that our ladies actually like each other. They don't have to fake it.
Yeah, no.
They actually
they're cool.
like each other. And I can imagine us, like being in our 50s or whatever, like fat, that means we'll be like 33 at that time, right? By that time, and I can definitely see him do like us being successful, whatever, and it's still like we're like talking shit like we were all hot or something.
Yeah.
Good looking dudes, had it all going, like motherfucker still ain't shit,
dude.
So and we're not shit.
So I'm not a jealous dude. It takes a lot for me to get jealous about things.
Yeah.
The last time I got jealous was kind of interesting to me. I was in Vegas for a real estate conference a few years ago, and I was in like a little cafe area eating some lunch or something, and saw two guys, probably mid-70s, super old, mid-70s, probably pushing 80, and they were like flirting with the cute waitress that was bringing them drinks and stuff. And I heard them bragging to her about how they've been doing business together for like the past like over 40 years, and they're still doing business. And I saw them, and I was legit like jealous of that relationship that they have. And this was prior to meeting you, but looking at that, and I'm just like, God, that's got to be such a cool feeling. Like,
amazing,
dude, amazing. Like just going through that sort of struggle and grind and just growth with one person. And like having the wife and the family, like, not that that's not amazing. This is just a different sort of feeling. It's just more uncommon.
I think it brings things full circle, man.
Yeah, you don't see it as much. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I want to have a relationship like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I agree. And I agree too, man. I don't, because obviously Kate hears a lot about you. And I remember one time, and we were talking about like me dieting down or some bullshit. And I was like, hey, look. And I was like showing her all your like shredded pictures. Didn't even care. I was like, hey, look, man, he got dialed in. Look at this fucking guy. She's like, I don't care. I was like, yeah, no, I know. Yeah, you don't care, but it's hot, right? And she's like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, nah, hey, he came in shredded. But it's true. I think just like girls when I have those girlfriends or whatnot, I think, man, we crave that bond too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And maybe you had never had it. I was the guy that like had it and couldn't re-find it. Mm-hmm. Like after the Marine Corps, I had a couple good friends in the police department, but nothing like the Marine Corps, and it's no disrespect to them. I think a lot of it is, again, man, camaraderie is forged in adversity. So the more adversity is in front of you, and the closer you start to the beginning together with something, I think the more that it's there, and I think the perspective is the same. I think what we're earning together is the same, and I think it just brings home life and everything full circle as far as how you appreciate it. And again, man, the opportunity that you have. So when it comes, again, I know we're probably getting long-winded, and to kind of tie up the Monday when it comes to how to be broke. How long are you going to be broke for? Well, hopefully, if you've got some perspective, I guess it's a little bit of clickbait today because you're not broke at all. You've got that opportunity in front of you, and if you got the right perspective with that opportunity and with good people around you and who you decide to keep around you, I think you're in a great place. And I think if it's working at night part-time or if it's diving in and going full-time and getting rid of a ton of bills, the fact that you have the opportunity, I think you're rich. I think it's just a matter of time after that point. If you can appreciate that, and if you can have some perspective on that, I think you get it. And I think from that point on, it doesn't matter what it takes. And as you start making more literal money, it's okay to put it back into the company because you've got the perspective to it and you appreciate it, and you did it when you had nothing. So what's the big deal now? I think you're just a lot more fulfilled in other places and needing to make those purchases. That makes sense.
We're ending right there. That's perfect, man.
Right on.
Yeah.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys.
We will see you guys on Friday. We've got a good one for them Friday.
Yes, sir.
No clue what it is, but it's a good one.
Take care, guys.